Your neighbors have them, your friends have them, you see them all over the road, yet you're still not sure about buying one. So what's the deal with EVs? Well, let's chat about that for a moment. But first, take a look at the car we have here today. It's Kia's EV6 GT line, and it's their first dedicated EV. It's also one of 11 full electric vehicles that they'll be launching or bringing to the world by 2026. Now, if you're new to the channel, I'm Chris from AutoAcademics, and I'm happy you found us because we have a lot more car-related content coming soon. This particular car is a steel matte gray GT line, so it has all the sporty looks while still remaining a bit more practical for day-to-day use. But back to EVs in general, and we'll start with the good stuff. Tired of going to the gas station and getting oil changes? EVs don't need any of that. Just charge them up every so often, depending upon how much you drive, and you're good to go. It's all rather pleasant, and it really is that simple. Just like it's really cold out here. This EV6 GT line is all-wheel drive and has a 239 kilowatt motor that produces 320 horsepower and 446 pound-feet of torque. That'll get you to 60 miles per hour in about 5.1 seconds with a top speed of 117 miles per hour and a range of about 252 miles. In comparison, the EV6 Wind trim with rear-wheel drive has a 168 kilowatt motor that makes 225 horsepower and 258 pound-feet of torque. It requires just over 7 seconds to get to 60, has a top speed of 115 miles per hour, and total range on that one is 310 miles. Whew, man. Now, continuing with the good stuff, purpose-built EVs typically have more passenger and/or cargo room inside too, when compared to gas cars. With none of the same mechanical bits underneath that an ICE vehicle has, the interior can be packaged better, providing more space for your legs and other stuff. This has allowed engineers to think outside of the box a bit more too, creating more modern designs like this EV6 that have more functionality. Just like the interior, EVs tend to look cool when you see them on the road too. And the driving experience is nice, although it's not very emotional. In fact, they can feel kind of sterile thanks to their comfortable and quiet ride. And that's not all. A lot of people have concerns with the range of EVs, and somehow 300 miles became that magic number that a lot of potential buyers felt more comfortable with. I guess this is because most gas-powered cars can go about 300 miles on a tank full. But this is where things get a bit more complicated. As I mentioned earlier, charging obviously correlates with how little or how much you drive. The EV6 GT that I reviewed last year had a total of just over 200 miles of range. And while most people don't drive that much in a day, you still have to charge it more often than you would a car like this long-range GT line that gets about 274 miles of range. Of course, I've only seen about 232 miles of range, thanks to all this real cold weather we've been having. But again, no biggie, just plug it in when you get home and you're good to go. Kinda. And this brings us to what I believe is the biggest issue when it comes to EVs: charging, and the infrastructure required to do so. You see, gas cars have gas stations everywhere. So even if you're in a car that gets only 12 miles to the gallon, you can easily fill it up again, typically in 10 minutes or less. Not so much with EVs. I've got to admit, I'm fairly spoiled here in the Atlanta area because we have charging stations fairly accessible all over, and I realize that it's not like that everywhere. And even though Kia's EVs charge relatively fast, it still takes quite a bit longer to fill up than an ICE vehicle. This is also why I always recommend installing a level 2 charger at your home if you're gonna own an EV, so that you can plug it in anytime the car is sitting idle, and then it's ready to go when you are. And yeah, you can use level 1, you know, the 120 volt outlet that's in your wall, but the problem with that is that takes forever, especially if the vehicle has large batteries like this EV6. You drive it one day, then charge it for 2. And this EV6 doesn't even come with a portable charger, so installing a level 2 is a must at your home. And even here in Atlanta, having access to more charging stations than most places still isn't enough. What if you want to go out of town? I've had a few times that I've chosen to take my personal gas car on a trip as opposed to the electric press vehicle that I had, solely because I wasn't sure what my charging situation would be once I got to my destination. All legitimate stuff to consider, in spite of how good these cars are. So, what's the deal with EVs? Well, for starters, they aren't going anywhere anytime soon. A lot of investment has been made in them. But the silver lining is, cars like this EV6 are pretty good, and the infrastructure will continue to improve. In fact, Kia is working with 6 other automakers to add at least 30,000 new chargers nationwide starting this year. Until then, my personal take on the EV landscape is that they make great second or third cars for commuter duty every day. But if they need to be used as a primary vehicle in all circumstances, well, that's what you'll have to consider if you're thinking about buying one. All right, I'm curious, what are your thoughts? Agree? Disagree? Do you already own one? Let us know in the comments section below. As always, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, don't forget to subscribe, and hit that bell icon so you don't miss what we have coming up next. I'm Chris from AutoAcademics, and I'm getting out of here because it is cold.